Hello, and welcome to my first video from this new Facebook page and channel. And so this channel is to discuss about karting, Formula One, and other motorsport news that we see in the next weeks. So first chat is gonna be about Formula One, the new budget restrictions, the new engines in 2025. And hot news, which is the drivers choosing different new seats in different teams, especially Vettel. We don't know yet what's going to happen with Vettel next year, so there are some rumors here and there. So we're going to discuss that today with Oliver Bajani, who hopefully has already connected. Let me just check. I don't have any viewers yet. Let me send a request to Oliver so we can connect. So Oliver Bajani is a go-karting driver in the UK. He's one of the best go-kart drivers I've ever met, to be honest. And I really admire him as a driver. But he's also a Formula One fanatic, and I just wanted to share these conversations with him. So Oliver is already there. You can see it. You can see him. Hello, Oli. Okay, I'm just trying to send you an invite to connect to the call. And this is. Let me just check, because this is not the same as in my personal. There you go. Approve. So now. Connecting.
Hello.
There he is. Hello, Oliver.
How are you,
man? Oops, there it's not. So your window is much smaller here than it was in my personal Facebook account. So I barely see your face, but it's okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So can you hear me well?
This way. Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. We don't have many viewers right now.
Sitting in the one spot I have Wi-Fi, which is on the floor of the spare bedroom.
Nice. It's working well so far. So yeah, good spot.
Don't say that.
Well, thanks for joining again this call today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. Today, 6 years of the first point that Jules Bianchi got with Manor in Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the only point he got from the team in Formula One?
I think so. I think that was the only point Bianchi got.
So
I'm going to say yes, but not 100%.
Okay. So just as an icebreaker question, what do you think of Jules Bianchi? Do you think he would be Charles Leclerc today? Because they are really similar. They've always grown together in karting, and they were close friends. But Jules Bianchi was 1 or 2 years older, so he was 1 or 2 steps higher than Leclerc.
Oh, no doubt. I think he would have gone to Ferrari. No doubt about that. I think if he would have still be around, instead of Vettel going to Ferrari, it would have been Bianchi going to Ferrari back then.
It would have been interesting to see Bianchi in the Ferrari of 2017 or 2018, when the Ferrari car was even better than Mercedes car. Well,
yeah, performance-wise,
it was much closer than 2019.
Oh yes, yes.
So it would have been interesting, at least.
Yeah.
So
2019 car was weird.
In general, or for Ferrari?
For Ferrari. because the car had huge potential, but it just was nowhere really.
Yeah, I have the same feeling with 2018, to be honest, but it's a different story. So yeah, it's a driver I respected, and I wish he could have had more options to promote to a better team.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Anyway, today the main hot news are around Vettel. So we discussed Carlos Sainz to Ferrari and Daniel Ricciardo to Renault last week.
Mhm.
And so we don't know anything yet about Vettel. And there are so many
Nope.
rumors that he'll be joining Mercedes with Hamilton. So Daimler wants him in the team. Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff are a bit more reluctant to it. What do you think is going to happen?
It all depends how much power the people at top have and all this. Whether they'll give Toto and Hamilton a choice in it. Because apparently Toto Wolff wants George Russell in the team.
Yeah.
Apparently so. And Hamilton won't be a fan of having Vettel. I think it's his only choice though for Vettel. That is the Mercedes seat. I'll be amazed if he goes anywhere else.
Yeah. It's a top level discussion and top level decision. I think the most sensible, from a spectator point of view, the most sensible would probably be having Russell in the Mercedes seat. But for the show, of course, Vettel would be a hell of a team.
Yeah, I think Russell would give Hamilton a run for his money. He has outdriven that Williams last year to like Hungary last year. He outdrove that Williams way above where it should have been.
Yeah.
I think he qualified like a second and a half ahead of Kubica, so I don't think George Russell wouldn't be a walkover for Hamilton. Maybe the first year, but yeah, so hard to say. He's a bloody good driver though, Russell.
Yeah, it's very good driver. The problem with having Vettel on board is that he'll be more demanding. He'll demand more conditions and better conditions to the team, and so he'll want to occupy most of the attention to the team for him, and that's what Lewis Hamilton doesn't want. So having Russell might be as the threat of having Russell on board in Mercedes is probably the same as having Vettel. I'm saying Russell could perform as well as Vettel could do. But in terms of Mercedes, the attention and the team, building the team around the driver, it's definitely better to have Russell rather than Vettel for Hamilton, of course. So again, I don't think Vettel. I mean, it's the same for Vettel. It's the same thought for Vettel. He knows Hamilton has the whole on him. So I don't know if Vettel will be willing to work in a team where he's clearly number 2 driver. That's the problem.
Yeah, and Vettel will not take team orders well. But at the same time, Mercedes has a history of letting their drivers race.
Yeah, he's never been a fan of team orders. We know the Multi 21, Russia 2019. No, I would struggle to imagine himself obeying team orders, to be honest. So the other news that I've seen recently, and I don't know if you're aware of this, so there are being massive investments in Aston Martin, the new big Mercedes Aston Martin team that will take 21 or 2022.
Oh.
Can you see me? Yep. Oops, it's going to 22. Don't worry. Let's go down.
Right.
Go.
Yeah. So I've seen the investment that Mercedes put into Aston Martin. £200 million investment, which
Yep.
they will. So, and they've said they would like Vettel in their team, but where? That is the question. I don't think Vettel will want to be a development driver or a third driver for the team, really. Unless
Yeah.
it's a way of getting a Mercedes seat.
That's the thing, because obviously, Racing Point, I have to remember the name. Racing Point today is owned by Stroll, so Stroll will be the
Yeah.
driver for sure. But Sergio Perez has also a good amount of contribution to the team, financially speaking. I don't know how much of property he has of the team, but he has some contribution to the team. So most likely they will take Perez out or remove Perez for Vettel, but it's not very clear. And
Yeah.
I don't know if Vettel has to make a strong move and be very sure that the new team is going to be a good one.
Well, they're putting a lot of money. They have to change their delivery, otherwise everyone's still going to call them Force India with the pink.
Oh yes,
They
yeah,
have to change it to green or something. Otherwise, it will
yes,
still be. And here's Force India. I mean, Aston Martin. I'm on Racing Point. I mean, whatever the team name's called. But
yeah,
if Vettel wants to keep his foot in the door of F1, it might be worth him joining Aston Martin for a year. So he's still in the paddock. He's still about. But whether he wants to do that is another question. A bit like Kubica's done with moving to Alfa Romeo. So even though he's not racing anymore, he's still got his foot in F1. And there's even rumours that he might have a seat for next year. Not sure how true that is, but apparently terms and conditions of his a contract with Alfa Romeo is that he gets a seat in 2021. Rumours, only rumours, nothing confirmed.
yeah. Yeah, but I think Vettel would be very picky. So he needs to be careful with whatever decision he makes. There's also a rumor that there's a Mercedes executive director moving to Aston Martin, so that could be appealing to Vettel, but we don't know. And I don't think Vettel is gonna be like Kimi. I don't think he's gonna spend one more year in Formula One just for fun, to be honest.
No. He wants to win. He wants to win. He wants to be the fastest. The one thing about Vettel, he is unbeatable when he has the car absolutely perfect to his liking. But I've never seen him be able to drive around a car that's not that great or quite on the limit, with the exception of Hungary, I think 2 years ago, where the steering wasn't straight, but the car was still good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, I mean, looking at that perspective, it's very difficult to predict in which position Aston Martin Racing Point will be in 2022 with the new regulations. So we know 2021, he can forget about that. 2022, the regulations will change and there's going to be a kind of a lottery. So what happened is very difficult. If I was Vettel, I would keep a close eye on Aston Martin because that's basically the only option. Going to Renault is not a feasible option, to be honest.
I'll be amazed if he goes to Renault. I'll be absolutely amazed. And then I'll be even more amazed if he goes back to Red Bull.
Matt Bishop says, I think Vettel may switch to Formula E.
Formula E?
I mean, if you remember statement he made after breaking the engine in the Russia GP 2019, bring back the V12s.
I'm not sure about that.
Another word. I think Vettel is a great fan of Formula E or any electrical car. So I would struggle to believe that, to be honest. And by the way, just for people who are watching
There we
it,
go, I'm back.
you
There
can
we go.
hear
Internet.
well of. Do you have any issue or anything with the video? Just put a comment because we don't. This is the first video, so we don't really know how this is going. So I would appreciate that. Sorry, Ollie, you were saying?
Yeah, my internet's going on and off, so I might be my video might be going away a little bit, but I will be amazed if he goes to Formula E. I haven't heard him say many good things about Formula E,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard him say anything actually about Formula E. I know Hamilton's not a fan of it because he doesn't like how slow it is.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to see. I'll be surprised if he does. But if he wants to keep racing, it might be his only choice unless he goes to GT racing, which he will have a choice with if he goes to Aston Martin. He might be like a reserve driver for the F1 team, but then do Le Mans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they stopped their Le Mans project, haven't they, to do F1?
I know. Of course, everything is very open at the moment, but it's difficult to say which category he'll be driving in. But I think to me the most likely probably is Aston Martin, and the rest. He could go to the GT, as you said. He could go to the DTM in Germany. That would be actually very good for him.
DTM's actually in trouble. Have you heard about that?
No, what happened?
I think BMW is now dropping out of DTM or Audi, so it's just going to be one manufacturer left in the race, in the DTM. So the DTM might be dead by the end of this year. It might not exist.
Oh, haven't heard that. Okay,
Aston Martin's gone, and I think it's BMW who's announced they're leaving this year, so it will just be Audi.
So no
They're saying
Mercedes
it might
either.
be the end of DTM. No Mercedes. Mercedes left last year.
Oh, didn't know. Okay. So, yeah. So Audi.
2 years ago, even.
Yeah. Okay. So DTM for Audi only wouldn't be very interesting, so, and very profitable either. Okay, that's interesting. So, didn't know that. DTM option then is very unlikely. We'll see, but that's interesting.
I think it's only option.
To watch.
I think he'll do endurance racing. Endurance racing. I've heard IndyCar being thrown about, but I have no idea about that. I don't think the Americans will like him.
You know, the Ferrari project to land in IndyCar. So that could be appealing to Vettel because of the link with Ferrari.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. Maybe it takes a couple of years. So we'll see. Do you reckon the new regulations could have drivers from other cities in Toronto? Of course, the team wants them. We'll keep that question for later about the new drivers and the regulations. And the other question I wanted to discuss, the topic is about Renault. So we were talking about Renault last week, that they will probably hire Alonso, bring Alonso back to Formula One. Some might like that plan. Some, like me, don't like that plan. But in the last week, we haven't seen any progress at all. And we've even seen the statement from City. I always struggle to pronounce this. Abiteboul.
Oh, I know who you mean.
Cyril Abiteboul. So he said.
Better than I can do it.
He said he won't confirm the drivers until the beginning of the season, but we don't really know if he refers to 2020 season or 2021 season. Because I've seen in some other website on internet that he was gonna wait for a few months until unveiling the drivers for Renault. So probably it's it's not anytime soon. So that means to me, that says that there has been a disconnection in the conversations with Alonso, with Renault and Alonso, and
It could also mean it's already a deal's been done and they're not announcing it till the season starts. That could be the other option, is that they've already made a deal.
but why postponing the announcement though?
Oh, God. Lots of reasons. Well, there's all the stuff in the background that's going on, so sorting out sponsors and stuff like that. It's impossible to say, really. There's so many little things we don't know about in the background, but it might mean they've already signed a driver but are waiting for the season to start to announce it.
Or maybe or another option that I'm just thinking about is that there's a pre-deal between Alonso and Renault, but nothing's going to be confirmed until they see the performance in 2020, whenever the season starts.
Yeah, possibly.
But
Yeah.
If that's the case, I mean, we saw Renault in the free practice sessions in 3 months ago already. Then their performance was not very good at all. So
their race pace was apparently very good, but their qualifying pace wasn't great, from what I've heard. Because their race pace was apparently on match with McLaren. It was just their one lap pace had issue. I would love them to keep the all black livery. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
But I doubt that.
Okay. So you think that could be a possibility? Like Alonso will probably make the final decision based on Renault's performance in this season.
Yeah. Or just have to see and find out, really. Just have to wait. That's all we can do with this one. I think all the rumours will go quiet and then it'll suddenly all of it come out into the open.
Peter Salisbury asked an interesting question. Do we think there's any employee from that era of Fernando Alonso in Renault still working for Renault? I have no idea, to be honest. I read the headlines of just the headlines. I didn't really read the development of the news. That there was an engineer in Renault that left Renault at the beginning of this season because he was already expecting Alonso could join Renault for next year. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know what kind of engineer he is. I don't even know if he was working for Renault when Alonso won the 2 championships. Flavio Briatore for sure is not there, and he wants to join Renault at all. But I have no idea.
I don't know either. Well, it's 15 years ago now since Alonso was in Renault. It's a long time ago. Well, almost 14 years. Yeah. So, impossible to say, really. Maybe.
Yeah.
But not many.
Exactly. And I tell you what, even if there were some people still working for Renault, I don't think they would be the key management people. Like, obviously, not Flavio, not I don't remember the names of the key engineers in Renault, but like the key people and the key developers of that Renault car probably have moved to a different team or something. And looking at the results in the last years in Renault, I don't think there's any very good key engineer in the team. But, so who knows?
Well, we won't know we won't know. Hopefully they sort out their reliability. I'd love Renault to sort out their reliability because the last few years they have been shocking.
Yeah. Ricardo knows that. Yeah. He was desperate for him. And there are also those rumors that say that Renault are struggling to keep their budget for Formula One.
I haven't heard that one actually. That was a new one to me when you sent me that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like a new rumor. It's been that's been the story in the last weeks with Renault, the weeks or even months. But then Cyril, like the team manager, Cyril Bittebull, came out to say that their plan is to continue in Formula One for a few years. But Cyril is a kind of person. I don't know if you watched the Netflix and Formula One series, and the season
Drive
in
to Survive.
2019. Yeah, Drive to Survive. And my perspective is that Cyril was always trying to calm people down and to inspire optimism, but then obviously things were much worse than he wanted people to think that they were.
Oh, yeah. I know Renault's invested a lot of money in it, and there's also a company who wants, or a team who wants to buy out another team. What's it called? China Racing or something. Rumors they were going to buy out Mercedes, and if Renault are in trouble, it might be a perfect opportunity for them to buy them out. A bit like Renault did with Lotus. Renault bought out Lotus.
Yeah.
But it's all a big unknown.
Yeah, yeah. And the main problem with Renault is that or with Alonso, sorry, is the same as with Vettel. None of them want to join a team that promises a winning car in 2 or 3 years time. They want a car that can win next year, right now. So Renault next year seems very unlikely. 2022, of course, is a lottery. We don't really know what's going to happen, but Renault in the last year, there's nothing really to have a great trust on Renault. So that's why I struggle to believe that Alonso is going to join Renault, and if he does, I think that's going to be a massive mistake.
You say it might be a mistake, but you'll be able to give a lot of input into what they need from the car, what needs changing, setup, every little thing like that. So that might be why they want him, is for the development of the car. But then it's the other thing of that they'll be able to cope with him.
Yeah. I don't know, that's gonna be the very great rumor around during the next summer and see what happens. And then Alonso is also engaged into the IndyCar. I wish he could do the whole season in the IndyCar, to be honest, but that doesn't seem possible at the moment. We'll see. Another interesting piece of
something I just thought of. The other reason he might not be able to announce it yet is because he's driving for McLaren in IndyCar for the Indy 500 if it goes ahead. So it might be he can't announce his drive for Renault until he's done that. Could be one of the reasons, because it'll be something of conflict if he announces for Renault and drives for McLaren at IndyCar.
Yeah, because there are many sponsors. There would be a lot of movement of the sponsors around Renault, McLaren, and Alonso.
So that could be a reason why they're holding off. Something I just thought of.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Yeah.
Bit like when Alfa Romeo bought out Sauber and they kicked out Wehrlein because he was a Mercedes driver.
Okay. Sam says, hope the stream is going well. Can join at the moment. Just join. Stream is going perfect. Just join us. Well, anyway.
He's busy playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, or caressing his cats. So yeah, that's a good point. Could be true. it's difficult to tell. That's all we know at the moment. Other pieces of news are more recent, and I think we'll know more about them even sooner. Is about the Silverstone situation. What's going to happen with the circuit?
Yes,
I'm not. Go on.
That's a tricky one. Because they can go ahead, but the government's making it tricky.
So I don't know if there's any deadline for the government or for Silverstone to make a decision. But of course, we've read that Hockenheim, we read that last week, and even the circuit in Hungary might replace Silverstone if they don't get the approval from the government. So you live in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
What's the situation there? What's your feeling about that? Have you heard anything new?
Yes, so F1 asked the government whether there'll be an exception for them to hold F1 race to take away the quarantine, and the government have said no exceptions, which has made things very tricky for them.
Yeah.
And now it's whether I think the FOM are now going back to the government saying sort of pretty please. Pretty much saying that.
Begging them to allow them to race.
Pretty much. I think if they break the quarantine rules, they get £1,000 fine, which I heard somewhere. I doubt this will happen. That the teams will just pay the £1,000 fine.
Sorry, £1,000 fine per team. £1,000 per team only?
Per driver, per team member.
Whatever.
If it's 100 people in the team. So if it's 100 people in the team, it's a £100,000 fine they have to pay.
Yeah, but that's
it's still... I've only heard that.
Okay. I
doubt.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But if that was true, well, the amount of the fine is ridiculous, to be honest. Like with that amount, and
if you break quarantine, yeah.
Yeah, with that amount, I don't see why Silverstone would step back.
It's all a bit silly.
Yeah. So there's no news about the quarantine in the UK recently. I haven't heard anything. Like I don't know if there are some rumors that the quarantine will be extended. What's the situation right now there?
Well, they're easing it at the moment. Well, they've eased it a little bit, and today people have taken the absolute piss out of it by everyone crowding to beaches and parks and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not good. There was a bit. Okay. I think there's a picture, something with the beach absolutely just rammed full of people, and yeah, so they've relaxed it, but everyone's just not following the advice. So we'll have to see the next couple of weeks what happens with that. And then they're saying they're trying to ease it up, but whether it works is another question. That's the short of it.
Okay.
But and with regards to F1, it's a big unknown.
Okay.
Big unknown.
When so just to refresh my mind, when was the Silverstone GP scheduled for? That was at the end of July, if I'm not wrong.
What? So yes, end of July for Silverstone.
Okay.
I think yes.
So we pretty much have 2 months, well, 1 month, I guess, until we hear any confirmation, possibly from the government and from Silverstone. But it's interesting to see the battle between different circuits to be able to host any Formula One race. Now that some governments are allowing the circuit, some others are still struggling, and obviously there are different interests for Formula One. So interesting one to watch.
Well, Hockenheim said they would replace Silverstone, which would be. the last few years have been good races, but the only reason they've been good is because been a wet, dry race. I don't think that actual track is anything massively special, in my opinion, of Hockenheim. It's a good track, but Silverstone, I think, is better.
I agree.
And then I've heard Imola being talked.
Huh?
I would love to see a race at Imola.
I prefer
yeah,
Hockenheim.
Okay, fair enough. And
But
then you mentioned Hungary.
yes.
So it's going to be very. I think we'll get when it becomes start of June, we'll find out what happens with Silverstone.
Yeah, yeah. I agree.
First week or
Silverstone
two
for
in June.
me, yeah, hopefully mid-June, first week of June, we can hear something new. And I agree with you. I would prefer Silverstone to Hockenheim, and I just hope it's not. Well, I'm not saying I just hope it's not Hungary, because probably Hungary is good for some other teams, because of the characteristics of the circuit. But obviously, and in terms of enjoyment, Hungary is probably not as fun as Silverstone or Hockenheim. But we'll see. See what
I
happens.
like Hungary.
It's just good, but difficult for overtakes. I don't know. I have mixed feelings with that circuit, to be honest.
It's a circuit that shouldn't work for good racing, but the last few years has been really fun races there.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there was a year, I don't remember which year it was, 2015, I think, when it rained and the race
Not
was
when Ricciardo
amazing.
won.
Or when Ricardo won, yeah, 2014. Yeah, actually that was the year, maybe. Yeah. So anyway, another very interesting piece of news that I've seen is about the New Deal and the budget restrictions. I don't know if you've read about this, but apparently they've decreased the budget limit to 145 million of dollars, so 30 million of dollars less than before. And the very interesting thing is that it'll decrease gradually every year, down to $135 million in 2025. And that's an interesting one. Obviously, guess which teams were opposed to this restriction? Just guess.
Oh, definitely Ferrari.
Good, well guessed. Ferrari
Mercedes,
was
Red Bull.
And that's all. Those three, those were the teams. Well, Mercedes were a bit opposed, but and more understandable than Ferrari and Red Bull, with the budget restriction. So the key points of the discussion were in Ferrari and Red Bull. So it's not officially confirmed, but hopefully it gets the approval, because I think it could be good to even the performance and the possibilities of all the teams.
Yeah. I like the idea of this wind tunnel that they've come up with, that the top teams get less time in the wind tunnel and the lower teams get more time in the wind tunnel. I like that idea.
That's a pretty interesting one. So the way it works, so this is going to be approved together with a New Deal, if it gets the approval, of course. So the way it works, so for 2021, the first team will be allowed to use 90% of the maximum allowed time in the wind tunnel. Then the second team will have, instead of 90, 92.5, 13, 95, and so on, until the last team, which would be allowed to use 112.5% of the allowed time. So the range is not very big. in 2021, but
Mhm.
that the range would be expanded for 2022. So the first team will only use 70%, and the last team 115%.
Yeah.
So that would be amazing to watch.
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds, Mario. Let me because it's
Of
very,
course.
very laggy where I am, and I don't know if it's me or you. So
Okay. So just in the meantime, we're talking about the wind tunnel. I don't know who's connected. Well, we don't have anyone connected right now.
there we go. Let's try this spot.
Okay, good. I have to find out how to set up the camera because you are so small. Like I don't know how big you can see my image in your screen. Like is it equally split or no? It's not because of that. It's
Yeah,
just
I can
this.
see.
So
Yeah, your side. Well, my side. I can see myself fine and you fine.
okay, okay. Because last week in the call we had last week, our images were split in the half of the screen. But today, for some reason, you are in a very small square on the top left corner in my screen,
Ah,
top right corner. So
okay.
why that's happening, I have no
I
idea.
have no idea.
I need to investigate about that. Anyway, this will go to YouTube later, if you don't mind. And in YouTube, you can increase the screen.
Yeah.
So that's good. So yeah, we were talking about the wind tunnel restrictions. So that's going to be
Yeah.
pretty interesting considering the new cars, the new aerodynamics regulations for 2022.
Yeah. I will be. First year of 2022 will be, I think, very spread out. I don't think it'll be that close because if one team finds some innovation that another team doesn't, then they'll obviously have an advantage, and it'll be everyone playing catch up. I think it'll be the second year where everyone becomes closer together.
2023.
2023, yes.
So we have to wait 3 years for a close battle in a close fight for the championship.
Well, probably next year will be really close because it
Yeah.
always goes really close just before they change the regulations.
Yeah, well, and even this year, to be honest, don't know what's going to happen with the fewer amount of GPs, but yeah, then talking about the wind tunnel, yeah, it's that makes sense, and especially with that restriction, with that more aggressive restriction for the use of the wind tunnels, 2023 could be a hell of a battle for the championship.
Oh yes, definitely. And also 2023 will be interesting with the engines being frozen.
Yeah, that's another regulation that we've just found recently. Engines, the design of the engines will be frozen in 2023 up to 2025.
But hopefully a move to two-stroke engines.
Yeah, that's I think that's possibly the biggest news or the news that made me smile the most about Formula One recently. So engines will be frozen in 2023 up to 2025 and there will be a new engine, and the rumor says, or the rumor called Pat Simons says that he would like to bring back two-stroke engines. So can you imagine the huge two-stroke engines with huge amount of power in the output of those noisy engines in the Formula One cars?
Yeah, there'll be so much investment in oil, though. You know, the oil, it's not scandal, the oil thing that was going on a year or two ago, with Ferrari using specialized oil to make their engines more powerful. Well, allegedly using a specialized oil. With two-stroke, because they need a special mix with oil and fuel, that the race won't be in the engines, it will be in the oil to try and get as many additives in it within the regulations, just to make the fuel as explosive as possible.
Yeah, That's an interesting point. I haven't thought about it.
Kart engines might become a lot more powerful.
Both, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. That sounds like a great option. Two-stroke engines. Like I just can't believe. I don't even know last time there were two-stroke engines in Formula One. If that ever was a thing.
I don't know. The only time I've seen two-stroke engines in high-up motor racing was in MotoGP when they had two-stroke versus four-stroke engines.
Yeah, yeah. I
Only
read
time I've seen it.
I read last time they were used was in 2012, and I remember the sound was amazing. But I mean, for the motorbikes, the sound of the four-stroke engines was amazing as well. But yeah, it could be a good change from the V6 to the two-stroke engines. And another thing is how many cylinders, what kind of structure, turbo, no turbo, I guess turbo.
I think they want to
Turbocharged.
keep. I think they want to keep the turbo and keep it as a six-cylinder engine. Just what they want to do with it is another question. But I like the idea of that. Also, the two-stroke engines rev so high and so fast.
Yeah,
So with a
yeah.
hybrid system insert, with electric motor, it would be the fastest revving engine in the world.
Yeah. And I think that would also change the driving style. So two-stroke
Oh yes.
engines have less torque. Obviously, that's gonna be compensated with the turbos, but still, that's gonna be a different there's gonna be a necessary adjustment for the drivers to the new engines.
Yeah.
Which,
Definitely.
which, to be fair, if they are less torquey engines, that's gonna be more similar to the V8 in terms of driving. It's gonna be something between the V6 turbo and the V8 naturally aspirated engines. I don't know. It's a very interesting structure.
They want to bring back KERS. I've heard they want to bring back KERS rather than this system, so that they have a button to press when they want to deploy the electrical power.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
10
I remember
seconds
that.
of power per lap. But I think there's still so many. They're looking into so many options with it.
Yeah.
I've even heard four-cylinder engines being thrown around.
Oh no, that's preferred two-stroke. Or maybe it's a two-stroke four-cylinder engine. I don't know. Now that you mentioned about the KERS, do you think we should have a different regulation around the DRS?
I think they should have it that you can have DRS when you're within between 3 to 1 second of a car. And then once you're within 1 second of the car behind, or car in front, you'll start to use it.
Wow, that's okay.
So you can use the DRS to So you use the DRS to catch up with the car, and then when you get to them, you have to use your own skill to overtake them.
Yeah. Well, that's a very good one as well. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I approve it.
Bit
I have to
backwards to
think.
how you're supposed to use it.
I have to think about that, but yeah, it sounds good. So I recently watched a video about that, and something interesting they were saying is DRS should probably remain the same, but only a limited amount of uses. So rather than
Yeah.
using the DRS during the whole race, when you are within 1 second of the car in front of you, you should be able to use the DRS, I don't know, 5 times per race.
I think DTM does it where you have amount of uses for it. I think. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Say they can use it 50 times a race, as many times they can on a lap, but and they can use it whenever they want. But once that 50's up, that's it.
Hmm. Or a 50, or
But
certain amount of seconds, for example, or I don't know. But
yeah.
yeah, limiting the use of the DRS could be interesting as well. So how did that work in the DTM? Do you know?
So I think it was they got a limited amount, and they could use it to defend as well as attack, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I think it was. I'm trying to remember. I haven't watched DTM for a long, long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I just bought some spare races now and then, so I don't follow it very closely, to be honest. Which I think that's one great championship to watch. Very interesting battles
Hmm.
and super fast cars.
Funny as well. Yeah. Prefer British touring cars. More mad.
Yeah. um. So speaking about the DRS, so yeah, the reason why these people in the video that it was were talking about the DRS was, do you remember Abu Dhabi 2019, the the technical issue that happened in the middle of the race?
Oh yes, when the DRS, when they couldn't, nobody could use the DRS because it wasn't. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, so there was a sensor that was not working properly in the circuit. So DRS wasn't allowed to use for a few laps. And then suddenly we
Hmm.
started to see many battles that we
Hmm.
forgot. Like it was the last time we saw fights in the on track since 2011 without DRS,
Hmm.
and it was very interesting. Then the DRS was allowed again because they fixed
Hmm.
the sensor,
Fixed it.
and then suddenly all the fast cars overtook the slow cars, and there were no battles at all.
Hmm.
So obviously, you need to be really cautious with the DRS regulation. And DRS
Yeah.
regulation could have been great in 10 years ago, or 10 or 15 years ago, when the aerodynamic setup was very, very a great contributor to the performance of the car. But in today's cars, there's a lot of performance out of the engine more than the aerodynamics. But the
Hmm.
aerodynamics will be even, like, the aerodynamics effect will be even more decreased in 2022.
Yeah.
So allowing the DRS, or not modifying the regulation for the DRS could kill even more battles, or not
Yeah.
kill, but um, couldn't prevent us from having more battles that we would have as Abu Dhabi 2019.
Yeah. I miss the skill of defending with the DRS. It takes that skill away because if you're close enough, then you could just overtake someone around the outside before you even get to the corner. The only time with DRS it's hard to get away because once you overtake someone, you have to break that 1 second gap. Otherwise, they're in your DRS and then they stay with you.
Yeah,
And with the 2022 regulations, with the cars being easier to follow each other, that will be exaggerated so much because once you overtake another car, because there isn't going to be as much dirty air, it'll be easier to stay behind the car that just overtook you. So it might become like a Moto3 race where it's everyone in a line just getting slipstream off everyone.
yeah. I don't know. It's just difficult. I sometimes we get into many conversations with friends about Formula One, and there are some regulations that seem kind of logical that they take, but then there's no real update in the regulations. Like, I don't know, I haven't heard anything about the DRS, and I think that should probably be modified. And
I think they want to get rid of it eventually. I've heard they want to get rid of it for 2025.
well, okay, they listen to
The
us
DRS.
somehow.
But they want to see,
Yeah.
firstly, how these new regulations do before getting rid of it fully. And they've
Yeah,
even said they
and
might just decide that they turn it off for certain races, say, nope, can't use it. By the end of the season, if the overtaking's too easy, they'll just go, no, you can't use it now.
we'll have to see. But for sure, they have to come up with some new ideas from time to
Yeah.
time for the others. And last question, and it's related to what we're talking about, the new engine in 2025.
hmm
Which type of engine would you like to have in Formula One?
Oh. In terms of noise V10s,
Agree?
because the V10 sounded, well, they were deafening, but they were incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say V10. I'd like a V10 in F1.
Do you know, something interesting I found out about V10 engines. So have you ever gone to the Goodwood Festival of Speed?
Nope.
I 300% recommend that you go. It's such a great event. It's such a crazy event, like the best car show I've ever seen, and probably the best car show in the world. It's just amazing. You just if you're also about into sports cars and all kind of motorsports and everything, I was just speechless, about to cry to be honest. It was the greatest event I've been in, with regard to cars and motorsports and that stuff. So I attended the 2017 event, and that was a good one because it was the 50th one, I think, or something like that. But there was any celebration. So there were Formula One V8s, and of course the V6. And best sound for me was probably the Senna's McLaren car with the V12 from the 1991, I think it was. But then the comparison between the V10 and the V8, there's something I liked more about the V8 for some reason.
Okay.
Because the V10s, the sound was amazing.
The
It was
V10
very,
screams.
very fine, very it was very screamy. And this very beautiful somehow, like very obviously very, very sharp but beautiful at the same time, whereas the V8 was a bit more rude, was higher. It was like the intensity of the noise was higher actually, so you could feel that sound more inside you with the V8 engine than with the V10. And I was surprised because for me, before going to the festival, for me the V10 engines were the best. But after going to that festival, I was like, wow, like the V8 engines are very noisy.
Have you heard the old V6 engines from the late 80s?
Late 80s. Oh, the V6 turbo engines.
Yeah.
That
McLaren used. Because I've always liked the sound of them. Even though nobody talks about them, the sound they make, I love the sound of them. If the V6s now could sound like that, it would be so much better.
Yeah. I don't remember if I've seen any old V6 turbo engine Formula One. Don't remember if I saw one in the festival, because the one I saw from Napton Senna was 1991, I think, and that was already a V12.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's sort of interesting. Then we can talk about this in another conversation about different
Yeah.
cars and different and noises. But yeah, I also saw the old Formula One cars from the 70s, 60s, and 70s from John Sarti and Jim Clark. And actually, this driver who passed away recently, what's it called? Sterling Moss? No. Who was the driver who passed away recently? Oh, what's his
Who is
name?
currently racing?
No, an old driver from the 70s who passed away just a few months.
Last year?
Not
Just
Niki
a few
Lauda,
months?
the other one. Yes.
Help in the comments
Do you
if
know
anyone's watching.
this famous Jackie Stewart?
Has
Jackie
I
Stewart.
haven't seen that news.
What
I
about
need to
Jackie
look that up
Stewart?
now. I haven't seen the news.
Yeah,
I
he
haven't
passed
seen
away
news he's
recently.
passed away.
What
did
so he?
I missed that.
Oh, maybe I'm pretty sure
I'm
he
fairly
did.
sure he hasn't, but
I'm just looking at Wikipedia. Oh wait, maybe I'm confused.
I'm pretty sure he hasn't. I'm fairly sure Jackie Stewart's still alive.
Maybe I just killed him. I didn't want to kill him, but okay. So I'm pretty sure there was another driver who recently died. But anyway, so Jackie Stewart was with his son driving and his old car as well. So those cars were also amazing to watch and to hear.
Yeah, those cars were good.
So you were saying about Sterling Moss?
I know. I think Sterling Moss died recently, but not Jackie Stewart.
You're right. It was Sterling Moss. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't Stewart. I just killed a driver.
I was
Anyway,
thinking, I haven't heard that he died.
Anyway, I just killed a driver. I agree with you. V10s are great engines. At least on the TV, they sound amazing.
Yeah, I've been told they literally push you back if you're standing next to them when they rev their engines. I've been told by somebody who went to Goodwood that stood by the start line, and they said they literally had to take a step back when the car launched off the line. And it also made their ears bleed, apparently. But...
Interesting. Because, yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on how much gas you give to the throttle. But no, I didn't see them from the racing line. Sorry, Stan?
Apparently this person absolutely just floored it off the line. Full revs, full everything, just absolutely spun the wheels off the line.
You must go to a festival of speed. Honestly, that you would just freak out. Just an amazing.
Oh yeah, I will at some
watch.
point.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I would geek out on all the cars and all the. The interesting part. Okay, this might be a bit boring to you, but the interesting part with the F1 engines is because they're quieter. Okay, this is going to go into physics stuff. Because they're more efficient is why they're quieter, because it's not making as much noise energy. So the quieter an engine is, the more power it can produce.
The more
exceptions, but more efficient it is with power, with fuel, with everything. So that's why
Agree.
the cars are a bit now. I think I read something like 50% thermal efficiency they have. Yes, this is where I get really boring now. So I'll stop.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a controversial topic. Do we want efficiency? Do we want show?
It's a controversial one. I wanted to bring back refueling.
But I tell you what, that doesn't have to be the case always. And just to finish off the call, I'm pretty sure there are ways, like most of the noise of the engine noise depends on the exhaust. So the engine can be very efficient, but then you can modify the exhaust to make it sound even better. Obviously, there's an influence of on the exhaust from the exhaust on the engine output, but that's where they should be working more in the next with the next engines.
Do you remember when they tested a cone at the end of the exhaust to try and make them louder, like a loudspeaker? They just stuck a cone at the end.
It was like a trumpet.
So stupid.
Yeah. I remember that,
seeing that and absolutely laughing my head off.
Yeah. Well, I think we can finish up here, and maybe next week we can keep talking about, well, for sure about the news, and what's happened with Formula One.
Yeah. The next one we could do it more open, so do as many people just put in whatever questions they like, and we give our opinion on it.
Yeah, we need to collect more viewers because obviously we don't have as many as I would, but we need to get more viewers, and also we need to fix those technical problems that I've seen in the beginning of the call. But don't worry,
it's my fault.
No, but I also mean about the little square that you are in my screen.
Okay.
But I think I'm positive and optimistic. It's just about keep working and keep bringing up topics and answering people's questions in the comments, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see. Little by little.
Good fun.
Yeah. I enjoy this conversation, so that's good.
I enjoy it. Good fun to talk to someone about F1.
Yes, especially in these times. And of course, if you think someone else could join the call, I know how I could. I don't know if I can do it now. No, I can't do it now. But I know if I could, we could have a 3-side call or something. But if you think there's anybody who could contribute a lot in the conversation, that would be great as well.
Yeah, trying to think of anyone who really watches, who knows. Well, Sam would know watches F1.
Yeah.
So get Sam in. But
just give it a thing. We have a 1 week, so we'll think about it.
This is something we discussed.
Okay. So enjoy the rest of your what's the bank holiday name? In the UK? I don't remember. First summer day?
It's just called a bank holiday. No, it's just called bank holiday. I don't know what you call it. End of May. I don't know.
End of May bank holiday, whatever. So enjoy the rest of your bank holiday. The next 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Been fun.
Thanks a lot for having me. Take care, mate. Bye.